So without mistakes, we can't grow, right? So we learn from them. As far as we all beat ourselves up when we make a mistake, right? It's normal. We're gonna make mistakes, but it's how you recover after the mistake that's kind of gonna lead you where you're gonna go.
You're listening to Mic'd Up with RPM, an RPM Living podcast.
I'm excited to have you guys listening. Welcome to the RPM podcast. I am Tony Sousa, the VP of Marketing Relations. We got a really cool show today. Got some experienced cats on the show, some experienced leaders that are doing some big things in our industry, and I am lucky to have them here with me today. So sit back, put your seatbelt on, and I think we got a good conversation for us today. So with that, I'll let you introduce yourselves. Kerwin, we'll start with you.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Cerwin Thompson. I'm Vice President of Facilities with RPM. Welcome. First podcast. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tony. We appreciate this.
Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm Darryl Manco. I'm the Regional Vice President of Facilities, also with RPM Living. And Tony, thank you for having us.
Yeah, well, this is a really exciting episode for me. I think a lot of people within RPM, I think outside of RPM, are excited about this sit-down chat as well. So, and I hope you guys are as well. But let's talk a little bit about your guys' own careers. Let's. I don't even know if I know this story, but I'd love to hear it. Kind of where you guys got started in the business, and talk us. This isn't an interview, but really just kind of how you were able to navigate your way in and through. Obviously, vice president, regional vice president. Those are big positions, and often in our industry, I think a lot of folks on the maintenance side think those are positions I can never achieve, especially on the maintenance side sometimes. So talk to the folks a little bit about your own story.
Well, my journey started when I moved here. I moved here from Canada.
Oh,
and
that's right.
I
What
was a
city?
houseman.
What city?
Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vive
Shout
la
out.
Quebec. So shout out to Montreal. So, but I came here and I started off in hotels. I actually started off in hotel industry as a busboy.
What were you doing? Busboy?
Yeah, and houseman, whatever you call them. I got tired folding sheets, and
Okay.
as the maintenance guys kept coming at night, I was like, hey, I can assist y'all and help y'all out. So I started to assist them. They started showing me things, and I left the hotel industry and went to work for multifamilies. First time I really knew about it, and I started as a porter.
Wow.
I started a porter way back when, and then throughout the
Where?
years.
Yeah. Austin?
Here in Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I started in Austin. I forget the name of the property. Park at Wells Branch.
Nice. Shout out, right?
But yeah, it was a nice property, man. I started with Porter, and that's where I really cut my teeth, starting to learn different things. Left that, long story short, went back to hotels, and then I learned a little more because I stayed at the hotels I worked for was extended stay, so it was similar to apartments.
Right. They had a kitchen,
Everything.
Right.
So you did make readies just like it, and learn how to fix ACs, the whole nine. Then shortly I left, as everybody, you can't really see, I'm 6'8". So I left.
I think they saw when we came in.
I left and went to play basketball. So my story left, went to school, played basketball. Shout out to Eckerd College, Tritons. Did that, graduated, and then I right back in the maintenance field as a supervisor, and then worked my way up from there. Did a little bit of conventional, did about 6 years of student housing, then came to RPM as a regional facilities manager. Almost 6 years ago, and just worked my way up through the ranks, man, and I'm VP.
That's
today.
awesome, man.
So,
Well, you're inspiring a lot of people. D, how about you, man? How'd you get started?
So I started real young. I grew up on a farm.
Oh.
So the mechanicals, the tractors, the whole combine stuff.
So like when you say young, man, how young?
About five,
About
six
5,
years
6.
old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Resume goes back to 6 years old. Okay.
So at the point we can change engines out or motors out or what have you. So I was pursuing MEP engineering in college. So after college, I actually got an internship with the Pipe Fitters Union in Kansas City. There I learned from the old timers, all the tricks of the trades, the MEPs, the mechanical, electrical, HVAC. Ended up getting my master mechanical in those after some time. Ended up working for some high-rise stuff through the union. The owners thought it would be more beneficial to have me on the other side of it. So I got recruited into the multifamily stuff and started as a service manager for them, just fixing their high-rise systems. And then I ended up in Texas for one of the clients, and then that's how I ended up with RPM.
So I got a couple questions because I think those listening, maybe on the maintenance side, may not, but I think they're inspired by your guys' stories. I think whether you guys know it or you don't. And I know being a source of inspiration is always kind of an interesting topic, right? Because when you're that person, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. But I think, could you help us understand a little bit, or maybe provide some feedback on, what's the secret sauce of growth, for you in your careers? Is it, saying yes to opportunities? Is it trying new things? Is it challenging yourself? Is it stepping out of your comfort zone, maybe? And then the next question after that, I think people will be curious to know kind of what your day-to-day life is in your role. But maybe start with the first one.
Oh, Darryl, go first.
All right, so to get to where we were going, right, we didn't necessarily have mentors that were above us at the time to kind of navigate us through those murky waters. So a lot of it was trial by error, right? And then we had to learn from our mistakes and make sure we didn't make those mistakes again. But we also developed partnerships, right?
Real quick, and I want to kind of unpack the mistake part, because I think a lot of folks allow mistakes to get them down, right, and really discourage them. How for you, D, how did you sort of see mistakes? Like, what was your perspective on mistakes, and then how would you leverage them to help you grow?
So without mistakes, we can't grow, right? So we learn from them. As far as we all beat ourselves up when we make a mistake, right? It's normal. We're gonna make mistakes, but it's how you recover after the mistake that's kind of gonna lead you where you're gonna go. So here we are. We have a giant mess on our hands. Well, how do we recover from this? And,
Story of your life,
right? And what is the ultimate goal? What's the best possible outcome that we can get to? So that's where my mind state is. And then the second part of that question is, it's more just day to day. You get into a routine, but nothing that we do day to day is routine, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, real quick before we jump to Cerwin, maybe that's a nice transition into what that day to day is. Maybe for you, for some of your team members, none of it's routine, right?
Right. So I wake up with a full schedule planned.
Okay.
It very rarely goes that way.
We can all relate a little bit.
Calls might start coming in at 6 a.m., 8 a.m. We've had situations to where we've had buildings explode in the middle of the night, right at New Year's, or a parking garage filled with 4 million gallons of water in it, right, that you didn't plan for.
I think I saw that picture too. It was up to your thighs, knees.
I was
right?
swimming. But
that wasn't on your to-do list that morning, right?
That was not on my to-do list, but it took priority over everything else that I had. So my team's day-to-day is very organized. So we have our calendars scheduled and sent out in advance, so everyone knows kind of where we're going to be, where we're going. Things like DDs might come into the mix to where we have to, never say no to new business. So we'll continue to make that a priority as well. But their day-to-day is more focused on the on-site people in general, and making sure that we're not just checking boxes. We want to be present. We want to learn about them. We want to learn about their families. We want to learn what drives them, what motivates them, or how we can help you, right? So their day-to-day is built on, one, customer service, because the on-site team and the operation team are our clients, right? So we view them as our clients, and the best way that we can serve our clients is being present. So when you walk on the property, not just going to the service manager, talking to the service manager, but talking to the property manager,
everybody,
talking to leasing, asking them how their vacants are looking, right? And being present, not on your phone working on another property while you're at that property.
Right.
So we try to maintain a high-level reporting, but we also want people to be comfortable coming to us and talking to us.
I want to unpack that in a little bit, but Cerwin, I'd love to get your story a bit about how you've been able to navigate, your perspectives on things and mistakes and challenges, and of course, what that day-to-day is.
So I'm gonna have to agree with Darryl. Mistakes you got to learn from. You got to grow. Certain things happen, and I think that's the best part. That if you apply and learn from that mistake, you're not going to happen again. If I remember an instance that I couldn't figure out an AC unit. And I burned up 10 transformers. I told Darryl that story. And
Don't tell the client, right? Sorry about that.
And I called, AC technician to come out because I couldn't figure it out, But there was my system was there. I had no shame, At the end of the day, I think if you get the pride out of it, we're all going to make mistakes. And mistakes is what helps grow us. And what people don't understand, they get down on those mistakes. And we're all going to make it, You just dust yourself off and you pick yourself back up and you keep moving forward. But I think what got us to where we're at is the hard work. And we work our butt offs, man. His story, my story, we work our butt offs. And we did more than just our job. You know, we did extra things that, at one point I had a manager, she's still here. She said, actually, you guys know her, Hejon Korham.
Yeah. Shout out to
that's
Hejon.
my homie.
Yeah.
But she told me one time, man, you need to find a company that you could, that you can do the maintenance side and also be the manager, because you can do both. That's literally what she told me. She's like, you can do both. And it's just from working my tail off and just, figuring out that I wanted more for myself. And I didn't want to be stagnant, and I didn't want to be complacent in the job I was currently in. I wanted to strive for something greater than what was there. And particularly, like that, back in our day, man, we didn't have these positions.
Oh, right. That's
No, we were. You hit a supervisor, and that was it.
You made it, right?
That's really what you made it. And the only way what happens is they move you on to another property or something larger and larger and larger. It's now, this position is new. It's a new position when it comes into the maintenance world. So just working tough and working hard.
For those who maybe don't understand or know, obviously the RPM system in place, obviously you guys oversee the facilities group.
Right.
Maybe talk to those who are listening a little bit about how you guys are structured a bit and how you support the teams in that way.
So
and the clients, of course.
Well, our structure, when I first started, like I said, I was an RFM here, and that would be 6
regional
years.
facilities manager.
Yeah, regional facilities manager is what we call it over here. I'll be 6 years over here. It was just me at the time. We had 2 other people. Now we're up to 30 team members.
So when you first started as a regional facilities manager, how many properties did you have on?
Oh, shoot. So I had Austin had 50 properties, and then I had San Antonio, which had like 9.
So not as glamorous as the title sounds, right? 60, 65 properties, right?
No, it wasn't a glamorous, and really didn't have much to do. It wasn't really no structure. I was just putting out fire. I felt like a fireman, man.
Sure.
I had my
running around all over Austin, San Antonio.
I had my fire hose, and I'm just putting out fires everywhere. But now, to this day, we're structured. We have 30 team members on our team. Wow. We're across the country. We continue growing. So just promoted Darryl to RVP.
Congratulations.
Thank you. As well, he deserves it, man. He works his tail off, and I know when I tell him to do something or ask him for help in any areas, he gets it done. I don't even have to worry about it. It's like I call him my brother from another mother type of a deal.
Well, I think you touched on something really important for everybody listening. Would it be office maintenance? And I'd love to get your feedback here. It's vitally important to have people on your team that are ready and willing to kind of jump in, get their hands dirty, and help, and not ask a ton of questions or claim that's not my job, right? I'm sure you hear some of that, throughout your career and at different ranks and different levels, maybe different companies as well. You hear a lot of that's not my job, both on office and maintenance. And I'm not saying here at RPM, but I'm just saying within the industry, across industries as well. You talk a little bit about kind of the perspective you've had and maybe some of the successful team members you've had on your team and what their perspective is on growth and helping and being a good team member.
I mean, think of being a good team member, the first thing you don't say is, that's not my job. If
you think it at first, right?
Sometimes you can think it, but if you got to look at it, if we're walking into the office, and as many times I'm pretty sure Darryl's done it, walk in the office and you got a ton of people and the leasing agents are helping people and you got a line of people and the community manager's helping the assistant manager, you just stop to ask, hey, how can I help you? You need a package? Not a problem. Let me run and get your package. Here you go. Here you go. I think that's the mentality we have to change with some people on site, but do you see why they're stagnant in their growth? The ones that don't say that, they have the upward mobility with them is different. Right. So I don't like that term.
I think you're really referencing, what speaks ultimately to the larger RPM culture, right? Mm-hmm. That everybody's ready and willing to help. And I think what's exciting about that, and I know was my experience right away, just this army of support, whether it be you guys or anybody else, is unique, I think, in our business to create that culture to say, where can I help and how can I help? And I think that speaks volumes to our company, to our culture, obviously to senior leadership as well. Darryl, I don't know if you have any thoughts on some of this.
At the end of the day, it's one heartbeat, right? Mm-hmm. So we represent clients and we're taking care of our clients at the end of the day. If we miss a mark, it's not because someone missed a mark, RPM, or the company would have failed at that point, right? So the not my job mentality just doesn't fit in our department. And more so changing the mind state of all those that are looking up to us as well. So they follow what their leaders do. And if we continue to set that good example for them, then they'll pick up those good habits.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about really what's happening in the industry, right? There's a lot of flux, a lot of movement happening, I would say probably leading up to the pandemic, post-pandemic. We've all heard about this great resignation, office, maintenance. From your perspective, what have you seen happening over the last couple of years? Good, bad, the ugly, right? We talked about that. We're willing to sort of address some things that are happening. Not necessarily per se, and you're welcome to say, here at RPM, but really this is more of an industry question because there's a lot of flux within the maintenance division as well. I think there's a lot of technicians looking at other careers, other industries, because I think there's a perception that maybe there's more money over there or there's better hours, things like that. So give us your perspective on what's been happening over the last couple of years, really how we've been able to retain top talent, technicians as well. You guys have been able to navigate and grow your careers through it all. And really kind of where you see the future of recruiting and maintenance and how you partner with recruiting and HR. It was a question that we got on LinkedIn as well, like how can you best recruit or partner together with your recruiting department to find some of the best talent throughout the country. So I know it's a big question. There's a lot going on, but feel free to, just like eating an elephant, right? Bite by bite. Feel free to kind of break it down in a way that you see it. The reality is it's been happening the last couple of years. You guys have been on the front lines, frankly, as leaders trying to figure this out. You don't have to tell any of your secrets per se, but the reality is I think everybody's in the same boat trying to figure this out within this industry. I think some companies have been able to leverage more strategic ways. I think culture is a huge part of that, and you guys feel free to speak to that a little bit.
You go.
All right, so I'll touch on the ugly part. So
I'll touch on the good parts.
The ugly part would be the staffing, right, and the shortage of available qualified candidates in our industry. And it really stems going back from pandemic, right?
Yeah.
You go from pandemic to the winter storm and then supply chain issues.
I didn't even mention the winter storm. Yeah, that was the whole thing in Texas. Yeah.
So we having to overcome all them obstacles, right? You really get a source of who your key players are, right? You get their strengths and weaknesses. But as far as finding people, right, we're not hiring based on technical skills anymore. We kind of base hiring people off their character. And we
emotional intelligence.
And we are willing to give you the skills that we've developed over the years to help you be successful in your job.
So I love that you said that, and I think that's sort of the trend of many industries that are smart, right? Many companies that are smart and more strategic about bringing in the right character people, right? The right culture people, because you can teach and train skills, right? But you can't teach and train character. We all know that.
You can't teach and train attitude either.
Right. So I guess my question to that, it's a great point that you both made. Where did that pivot come? Did it feel like in the pandemic when we were faced with a lot of the challenges, staffing shortages, things like that? And
100%. Pandemic showed us that people started taking more value in their personal life. They felt overworked, especially here in the U.S. Other countries, there's 4-day work weeks. They give longer lunch hours and different things.
Sure.
And here in the U.S., what we pound on people, work. Home life is not really valued. And what we saw in the pandemic, that life had to slow down. Even in the industry, I laugh now. I look at H-E-B and Walmart. They used to be open, H-E-B to is 2 o'clock in the morning? Yeah. Walmart, 24 hours? It's 11 o'clock, both of them. Right. It's been a reset and a mind change for us, all of us, to see how do we value our personal lives, but we also have to take care of our work life. Right. So, and it doesn't help with all these jobs that you can do without having a set schedule, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, so I think it's changed the mindset. For us in our industry, we had to do a reset. You got to look, we had to get, and we do a good job, here at RPM. We partner with our recruiting team. I'm on calls with them once a week, sometimes twice a week, with our HR to see what we can do differently that we can keep the talent that we have here from going elsewhere. And when you talk about the money part, I know in the multifamily industry, the service teams, maintenance, has not, they've always been, how do I put this?
Second class
citizens. Yes, second class, unfortunately. And the pay scale has always been low. It's always been cut. If you notice that, if you see clients, a lot of times the first thing they'll cut if they need to finish anything on the property is usually the service part of the side. And it kind of puts a whole strain on that team. And if you're a service guy, if you got to work too hard at this property, I'm just going to go find me another property, another company that has a facility, nice, bright, shiny, new, that I don't have to work as tough.
Perceived to be easier,
right?
Closer to my
100%.
house, right? Stuff like that.
So we have to do different things. And, what differs us from the other companies is the corporate level support that we have on the facilities side. I'm not going to toot our own horn, but we do offer a lot of support. Everybody on our team is former service managers. So if we've done the job, we've been there, we've done that. So we can speak the service team's language. Yeah. I don't know what other companies have because I really don't, unfortunately, we don't talk to them in that way. Yeah. So we just keep it mindful here that our teams, hey, you guys got corporate level support. You can pick up the phone, call anytime. We tell the teams they call up to Darryl, myself, anytime. We have different layers in our department, but we try to support our teams as much as we can to give them that sense of security while working at RPM.
Well, I think it's noteworthy, and frankly, I see and I feel momentum happening within the industry, and a lot of candidates gravitating to RPM because of this culture, right? And I think you guys play a big part in that. Obviously, senior leaders above you support you as well, so you're ready and willing to support them. And I think having done the job before, especially on the maintenance side, but I could even speak to the office side, means a lot to your technicians, that they can ask you a question, almost anything, and you probably have some sound answer, whether it be technical sound answer or frankly just how do I navigate this dynamic with a client or the office. We mentioned a little bit earlier that dynamic, and it was mentioned on LinkedIn as well, is how do you strengthen the partnership between office staff and maintenance? And you mentioned, and feel free to be honest, right? I mean, this is why people are listening. They want to hear an honest take. Don't get yourself in trouble, but
we don't mind getting in trouble.
I think bridging that gap is important. I think some properties, some divisions, some regions are doing an incredible job of that. Some companies are doing a great job of that. I'd like to say RPM's doing an amazing job of that. But it's work, right? Just like any relationship, it takes work to build those bonds and strengthen those relationships. Talk to us a little bit about how we go about doing that.
I think you be your authentic self, right? And then we don't want you to be Darryl. We don't want you to be Cerwin. We want you to be the best version of yourself, first and foremost. And then when you have that diversity of everybody putting in input, you're able to really see what's working, what's not working. You're able to look at things like analytics, and you're able to see the properties that are running really well, but then you're able to see the properties that are not running really well. Normally, the properties that are not running well have a dynamic that's off between service and office, and the properties that are streamlined, running good resident retention, good customer service, high occupancy, high NOI, those are the properties that have figured it out. And what they do different is they let each other do each other's jobs. So, and that's the biggest thing that we could take from it is respecting everybody's positions. It doesn't matter if you're the groundskeeper or the CEO of our company. At the end of the day, everyone has to feel valued. And when we do that, we create this culture where people love going to work, right? Where it's not coming in to punch a time clock for 8 hours. It becomes...
I thought you were going to say punch someone else, but I'm glad you said that.
That's happened a few times.
Time clock to where you're developing these relationships with the people. You see these people that you work with more than you see your own family. So it would make sense that you would want to have that camaraderie with each other. Service manager, property manager, joined at the hip, right? There shouldn't be one above the other, right? And it's a partnership. So
I'd love to get your advice. I mean, I'm sure there's many listening on the maintenance side, maintenance supervisor, technicians that might be frustrated in their situation. Hopefully not at RPM, but of course, could be outside the industry, outside of RPM as well. I hear a lot of it. I think you guys hear a lot of chatter out there in the industry that, hey, I'm just kind of frustrated. People, Cerwin, you mentioned it. There needs to be sort of this collaboration, not second citizen sort of perspective. And let's be honest, in our industry, I think I agree. I think maintenance has been treated that way, and I know you guys have felt that way. I think things are changing, not only here at RPM, but of course across the industry. But for somebody that's listening right now, that's kind of struggling, frustrated, what advice could you give them to reconcile the situation?
No.
I would say when it comes to that, as like, you got to sit down and have that conversation with your supervisor. You're a supervisor too, as a service manager. You got to sit down and talk to your manager. Say, hey, we're in this together. We're one team. That divide, unfortunately, it's a sad divide in the multifamily industry. It's the service teams that always looked on, like you said, like Darryl said, a second-class citizen, and it shouldn't be that way. We're together. We need both to run the property. We need the inside office to lease the apartments and field calls from the residents. We also need the service team to take care of these residents. So if we have that mentality and which we're doing a great job here at RPM, we're having that mentality that we got to combine those two together. Yeah. And I think a lot would help is the cross-training. If you do cross-training, that leasing office, come outside, pick up trash, run tickets with the guys one day. Just a day in the life of a service guy to see exactly what they go through. So you can't pick up the phone and call them 15 times a day because, a resident's calling for something. Because the amount of items that they have to complete on a daily basis, sometimes it can be a daunting task. Right. So, but also with the service teams, come in and see, hey, if you're not taking care of these residents, who's yelling at, the leasing agent's got to feel all these calls and they're getting yelled at because you're not doing what you're supposed to. So I think it's a respect factor on both sides. And I think if they start cross-training to see what the other side does,
better understanding. It's
a better understanding. But then from a corporate level, we can't have that divide either. Mm-hmm. We have to treat one in the same. So if we're doing budget boot camps and stuff like that, and our service teams are on LinkedIn and we see, you've went axe throwing with all your managers, grab your service team managers out there with them at the same time. Mm-hmm. And once you start doing that, you'll see the shift and the culture change, and these service teams won't get I would say they won't be upset anymore.
Right, yeah. Well, and I want to give you guys a lot of credit. I've been here a couple of years now, or just about, and you guys have spent a lot of time on site. And I think there's many, outside RPM and within our industry with your titles that probably don't spend the time that you guys do. So, I give you a lot of credit. And I know you guys are, some may listen and say, well, it all sounds good. But the reality is I'm talking to two guys that, from what I've seen in my own eyes, you guys sort of walk the talk, and so I commend you guys for that. Let's talk a little bit. So there's a lot of buzz about a lot of things in our industry, not just staffing, but technology. Technology is a big part of our world today, a big part of our industry. You guys may have seen some of the comments on LinkedIn there talking about technology centralization. And I'll start with one question. Really, I think pretty direct question that was asked. Is the current maintenance staffing model on site, is it still working in the way that we were hoping it's working? Is it still providing the service that it needs to? And I know it's a delicate question. The question was kind of framed around centralization, maybe outsourcing some of the work, maybe made-readies and others. So how are you guys looking at this technology that's on the forefront? Obviously it's coming. We're not going to be able to stop it. But we want to also make sure that we support our employees and they don't get nervous about job losses or anything like that, because I think there's a place for everybody.
That's like a two-part question,
yeah. So I would say as far as the technology piece, right, centralization is great. As things become more technologically advanced, then we start getting into Clean Air Acts and government regulations, right? There's a level of training that has to be invested back into our people, first and foremost, to make sure that, one, they're able to keep up with the changing technology, and that, two, that we don't fall behind on that. There's not a replacement for human interaction, right? So as far as them going away, service team can never go away, right? They're talking to artificial intelligence, which
some could even argue they may be the most vital part of the on-site experience.
Right. Yeah, they would never go away. I mean, you can't get rid of the service team. But with sensorization, I would say in this, but like Darryl's right, the technology can never replace service guys. But I think we're a little slow in our industry, in the multifamily industry, is to try different things. We're so stuck in our ways. So we have our service teams. You can only take on call for that property. But what if we have a group of properties together? What if we rotate call? What if we, have a way that we rotate all the guys on those properties to help out and do different tasks. So I think slowly but surely we're getting to that area where we might have to start. I believe centralization is coming, but it's changing the mindset of the people working in this industry.
That's the first step, right?
That's the first step. People are going to fight it. They don't want to. They don't want to take call because the guys know. Oh, I got my property and Darryl got his property, but no, I don't want to take call for his property. Or
so let me ask this, because I think maintenance in our industry has gotten a bad rap in different ways. We talked about feeling, being treated as second-class citizens, but I want to get your perspective on, I think there's some perception, right, stereotype, which is sort of a broad stroke, but I'd like to get your nuanced answer about this perception that maintenance is, not only is our industry as a whole, I think, a bit antiquated when it comes to technology, but sometimes I think maintenance, on-site maintenance, can sometimes get a bad rap for not being the quickest to embrace technology. I think it probably comes down to, right? It comes down to individuals, first and foremost, and that may be part of your answer. But I'd love to get your take on that. And ultimately, is that changing on-site at the corporate level? And if so, which I gather by your head nod, it is. What different technologies, not specifically are we looking at, but relative to the maintenance jobs, right? Is it we're seeing opportunities for on-call technology to help us there, made ready opportunities to consolidate steps. So I'd love to get your thoughts on both of them. Is maintenance slow to embrace the technology, and if so, that's changing.
So I'll take the maintenance slow to embrace. So in general, our expectations haven't really met up with the speed that the technology is coming out. So we expect our people to be 0 to 100 real quick, right?
Overnight, right?
Because we're impatient ourselves, right? So as technology is continuing,
When you say ourselves,
right?
Who's ourselves? Is it those that are pushing the technologies? Maybe sometimes leadership.
All of the above, right? So we all have our own expectations of how we want things, right? And how we would do it if we were on site. And that doesn't necessarily mean that every other person is us, right? So everyone's going to adapt to those at different paces. And we haven't necessarily, no one has really figured out the maintenance problem all the way around, right? If we did, me and Kerwin would be billionaires right now. Sitting in
Yes.
Dubai.
We're working on it, y'all. Working on it, though.
But as we continue to evolve, technology is going, as these buildings become more technologically advanced, and you get these more technological systems, the training, and we're going to have to partner with vendors that specialize in certain things. For instance, back in my day, we did all the painting. We did all the carpet cleaning, all the carpet replacement.
Right.
We did all that. And our industry now is very...
It's a phone call, right?
Right, it's a phone call to a vendor.
Tap on the app and they show up.
And that's just for the simple fact that...
if you got an app.
Yeah. That's the simple fact
Download
that
the app first, right?
a company could come in and paint that unit in 3 or 4 hours with 4 people, or we can put our service manager in there for 2 days, and we just wasted 16 man-hours and paid the same price.
We're not thinking about cost. We're thinking about cost, and we're not thinking of practicality or time. Time management. So,
Time is money at the end.
Right.
Time is money.
So now I'll touch on the technology piece. I think in this industry, everything is old and antiquated. So everything's paper based, correct? So you got to go on site and you got to look. The logs are filled out on paper. The make ready board, where is it? It's a big old whiteboard on the wall. That's what we do. And I think there's different technology out there that can assist us, that we can look and help, and that will help with the centralization also. If you can operate digital make-ready boards, you have your logs that you can store digitally. That's some way that we can access them. So I could be in Atlanta and looking at properties here in Texas. Right. I think there's different companies out there that have different technology that can assist us in the multifamily. It's just you have to find which one that will work relatively well for your particular company, what applications that you particularly want for your company. I know here at RPM, we're looking at different resources to try to get us to the next level, which, as you see, we're growing. Ultimately, we don't stop growing, and we're working to get caught up. And when it comes to the technology piece. So, especially for our service team, and like Darryl was saying with the older guys, we tend to have a lot of older guys in the industry that don't embrace technology. I mean, some guys still have flip phones. I mean, I know they brought back the flip phone, but yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
The Razor.
Yeah. You know, you went
Motorola.
Real old school. So, just trying to get them to embrace that piece.
Unpack that a little bit. Like and I think I know some of this, but I'd love to get your thoughts. Like, what's the hesitancy? Is it fear of the unknown? Is it a lack of trust in their abilities to understand the technology?
We're humans. Yeah. When we don't know something, we haven't touched it before, we're scared. Yeah. That's just normal, and that's exactly what's going on.
You don't have microphones in front of you all the time? Maybe Darryl does.
Darryl, he's a singer. I'm not. But
so we have a hard time asking for help.
Yes.
It's a real prideful thing in our industry, and too often they don't raise their hand and ask for help. And if they would, the amount of resources that we could give you could drastically change your whole output in the way that you operate. So,
well, I think you guys made some really points just around this. I think I'm sitting with two guys that, sure, you guys have a lot of pride in the work that you do, but frankly, my experience with you guys and just hanging out with you guys, and I think those listening and watching can see, like, these are two really sort of humble dudes that just want to learn, are willing to embrace change, and I think that speaks probably to the culture of your technicians and the company. That's the candidates we're looking for. We talked about the character that you're looking for, right? Like, are you willing to learn? Are you a humble guy? Are you a we, not a me guy, right, or gal? And if so, we could teach you everything you need to know. Kerwin, you mentioned a couple things about vendors, suppliers. A big question that I'm sure that you're always bombarded with is, how do we get our new service or product or technology into RPM, right? Like, that's probably like 50 direct messages I get a day. I'm sure you get many more.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying like give them the in, right, the secret sauce of how to get in, but I do think that there's a lot of suppliers out there that would love to know, like, what approach is better, right? And I could probably go on a limb and say a blind email to your inbox without any knowledge of who that person is or what that technology is probably not the best way to go. But maybe talk a little bit about the important parts of participating maybe in local associations and conferences and building relationships.
I would say I usually tend to do better when I meet you in person. Mm-hmm. Blind email, I'm deleting you. I'm gonna be honest. I can't even count how many blind emails I get.
Direct messages.
Yeah, LinkedIn direct messages. I mean, tons. And I think better being a part of the department association when we're at the trade shows, TAA, NAA, better results, and then if you do send that email and it's an odd chance that we look at it, I need all the information. I think I got a phone call the other day and somebody left a message on my cell phone saying, and I'm pretty sure he got it off LinkedIn, but it's like, I think it would be beneficial if we talk. Oh. That was it. That was the message. And I knew it was a salesperson because he didn't say my name correctly. So, but that doesn't help me. I'm not calling you.
What do you call you, Cerwin?
Yes, he did. So, please don't call me Cerwin. That's not my name. It
sounds very regal, but it's not the right name.
But he left the message like that. And I know that's a sales call. Please, we want the material. Give us all your material. If you want to get an RPM, please give us all your material. Just don't do blind sales and just give us a little smidget and say, let's set up a 10-minute call. We're already on plethora of calls already. I don't have time to set up a 10-minute call. So if you want to give me your information and outline everything your company can do, you have a better chance of getting an RPM.
Yeah. Darryl, what do you think?
We tend to look for people that have these same cultural values that we have, people that align directly with what we believe in, doing right by your people, right, being a good human, and continuing to pursue excellence, right? So we get name dropped all the time, right? Well, I worked with so-and-so, or...
I know Darryl. Yeah. I know Cerwin.
Yeah.
Oh, you do, huh? Yeah. You guys are close friends.
Real friends.
Yeah. And then we end up at these trade shows, and they're just like, you didn't respond to my LinkedIn email. I said, you sent me 30, right? So after the first 3...
I was trying to get there, but then I was flooded.
Yeah. So making sure that you're set up, right? Making sure that you have your insurance stuff, making sure that overall you align with our values, that you want to be a partner as we continue to expand and grow is a very big one. right? There's times where we enter brand new markets where we don't have a presence, right? And we have to rely on the national vendors or the vendors that want to grow with us and expand with us. And too often, sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes those vendors are not willing to want to grow, right? Which is fine too. But as we continue to grow, we're looking for people that are also trying to grow with us.
That's awesome. So I think something that the listeners may want to know is really what I think we've been able to hear a lot about it, but really specifically, what makes RPM different than most property management companies that are out there? And then for those who are maybe interested in being a part of what RPM is doing in the industry and be a part of your team maybe, how do they get to be a part of your team? How do they apply? How do they get the opportunity?
All right, so like I said, I've been with RPM going on 6 years. The reason I'm still here is the leadership to me. Our owner, Jason Berkowitz, he just thinks differently, man. He's like an innovator. In 2020, when most companies were just trying to stay afloat, he's like, no, let me go find another company that I can invest in and bring on. And that's what he did, and we're just constantly growing.
And what you mean by that is expand, right?
Expand, really. And this is why clients come to our company all the time, and we have great leadership. And for my department here, I got great teammates, as I call them. They're just, we partner to do a great job to support the site teams, and from a facility standpoint, and we work our butts off. And like you said, I don't want it when I'm walking on site that people will run, oh, this is the vice president of RPM, the service guy. No, I'm personable. If everybody knows me in RPM, man, I always got a smile on my face. I'm always happy.
This is true.
You're not going to get me down. I'm going to smile. I woke up this morning, so I'm happy. And that's how I try to lead my team, and it translates down to all the guys on site.
Cerwin, you are known as one of the most friendly, joyful guys, not just within RPM, but every conference I've seen you at. You get bear hugs, you get everybody running to you. Where does this come from? Is this mom, this dad, this grandma, this is the guys
this is
growing
me,
up?
This is me growing up, man. This has been me. I have to say it's come from my parents. Yeah. My mom's no longer with us, but she was always the one that nurtured me. I was a mama's boy. I don't care. I tell everybody.
Tell everybody, right? Tell the whole world right now.
I was a mama's boy, but I've always, to me, I'm 6'8", man. And, if I walk around with a scowl on my face, you know how intimidating that is for people. I don't want that. I want people to feel like I tell them I'm a jolly green giant. Yeah. I'm just not green, but but that's me. That's what you will catch me with a smile on my face all the time. I'm gonna greet you, give you a hug. I want to touch everybody that I come in contact daily and leave them with a lasting impact. At least if I'm the only person they saw, I brightened their day up. Yeah. So that's who I am, and I try to lead by example the same way here at RPM.
All right, Darryl. So for you, what makes RPM different than most companies?
The diversity, the people, right? So everyone has different backgrounds. Everyone has different thought processes. And it's been more of everyone collaborating to come up for a common solution than it has being, this is the way it is, right? So with everybody and all the other companies that have absorbed, we've had people from different markets and a bunch of companies come in that do things different ways. So we've been able to capture the things that are done really well, right? And we're able to look at our processes and see the things that we have not historically done well, and we're able to adapt to that.
That's awesome. So anyone interested in being a part of what you guys are doing, being a part of what RPM is doing, what's the best way? I suspect maybe not a cold email, right? Find a way to probably go technically through the website.
If you're a facilities, upper level facility service manager, or you're doing corporate level facilities currently, you can email LinkedIn, Darryl and myself. We do pay attention to that because we're always looking. We're always looking for top tier talent. We like to promote from within, and we've done a really good job of that. How many guys? I think we got 11 guys right now on our team, maybe more.
Probably about 17.
There we go.
That have been promoted?
That have been promoted from on-site. So we really, because, that's what we tell the on-site teams. We want to promote from within, but you have to be at that upper tier.
You got to be ready.
But there comes an instance that we just don't have the talent that we've, I'm going to say, cultured or cultivated yet to move up. So we sometimes have to look, or we're in different markets that we don't have anybody that we're looking for somebody. So you can hit LinkedIn. We have no problem for guys looking to join, or young ladies looking to join RPM, because we don't mind. We don't care. As long as you know what you're doing, hey, come on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I assume you agree, Darryl.
Same.
So this has been awesome, guys. And I appreciate how authentic you guys have been. It doesn't surprise me. I know you guys to be really authentic guys. But I got a couple questions for you. A little this or that. All right. So I'm gonna give you some options, not a whole bunch of them, but a couple fun ones. So don't think about it too much. Just whatever this or that comes to mind. All right. Ready for the first one? Beer or wine?
Beer.
Wine.
I think I know the answer to this one. Football or basketball?
Football.
Basketball.
Save or spend?
Save.
Clients like to hear that, right? Suits or blazers?
Suits.
Okay. Hot tub or pool?
Pool.
Not hot tub guys. Beach or the mountains?
Beach.
Okay. Cash or credit?
Cash.
You guys are like-minded, I'll say. Make the call or send the email?
Make the call.
Call.
Kerwin's a call guy for sure. Yeah. I know Darryl is too. Jordans or Yeezys?
Jordans. Yeah.
Easy answer. Kerwin said that real mad like. And last one, R&B or country?
R&B.
R&B.
Hey, speaking of that, Darryl, I don't know if everybody knows. I know. I know Kerwin knows. I know some folks know. Tell us a little bit about this music career, man, and how long you've been doing it. I don't think a lot of people know that you're incredibly talented, and if you're willing, man, to maybe, I don't know if you can grab the mic, but give us a couple bars.
Tell me about Slicker Man.
So we're not gonna go there.
Don't YouTube it.
All right. So I have been doing it for teenage years, just as a way to kind of deflect. Currently working on another album.
Did you sing as a youngster, or like in church,
shower,
or in the shower,
or on the street with my friends, or you get into your little rap battle beef in
so
high school.
Who were your inspirations back then? Like Boys II Men or
LL Cool J is
Cool J?
a very big one. I like Babyface is another really big one. Boys II Men is Brian McKnight.
Yeah.
So all those guys, right? They had the rhythm, they had the soul. Can't stand today's music.
Okay.
Just first and foremost.
So if the kids are listening, like don't hear that part, right?
Right. So I am currently working on a rap album right now and a R&B album. Wow. That is sponsored. So it is under a contract stuff. So that's currently what I'm working on.
Congratulations, man. Would you be willing to share something off the record or something, while we sit here and awkwardly stare at you in acapella? But
sure, I wrote something for you.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you got it.
Yep.
We're going live with it, man. So pull it up.
I can't record.
Kerwin, can you sing, bro? Can you?
Oh,
can
no,
you,
I can't sing. I'm a shower
provide
singer.
a beat maybe or something?
Nope.
Or?
Can't do none of that.
Nothing.
Yeah, it'll probably be more rap on this one.
Okay. All right.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, when we're ready, man.
All right. We're on the show with Tony, balling out with Kerwin T, precision flow with certainty. Don't you know there's no stopping me? I'm in the lane, switching fast, gonna make these clients' pockets fat. What you see is what you get with RPM. We represent, we do our thing, we going hard, we party like there's no tomorrow. We're so legit, excuse me, please. We satisfy our clients' needs. We're on the move. Hit your peak. We're gonna take your properties. We on the ground. We hustling. Every property's custom. Problems, we just bust them. Portfolios come in lump sums. We balling big in the game. RPM, you know the game. RPM, you know the name. Sitting with all Sitting with the all-time great, we ending this with a handshake.
They can say,
You know, I'm gonna talk to the editors. We'll put a flow behind that too, man. Put some beats behind it, man. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, D. And
so if you get 10,000 likes,
I
promise I will sing a full song for you guys, guitar.
Hey, he sent me an album, and I told him that he sounded like a little bit of John B. Cross, and it sounds really good. He's got a really, for being a good football-sized guy, he's got a real soft voice.
Yeah,
real soft voice. But it's good material.
If out of curiosity, if anybody does want to listen to some of your stuff, can they just YouTube your name or?
So there's
maybe there's just some stuff you don't want to see out there.
There it is. So if you PG rating, you can type in D Wonder. And that'll pull a whole bunch up. The rap stuff is the Slickin' Man brand.
if you're into the other stuff, right?
So that one, proceed with caution.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Well, I appreciate both of you guys being on today's show. Hopefully, you guys had a good time. Yeah. I think the listeners really, got a lot. I think they see why you guys are different, why RPM's different, and I appreciate you guys being on today.
Hey, appreciate you, man. Thank you for this. This was fun. I didn't know what to expect. I've never done a podcast before. Yeah. But this is fun. No, really. Thank you.
Yeah.
Highly enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, it's low-key conversation. To those watching and hanging with us here on the podcast, on the RPM podcast, again, thanks for joining us. Again, I'm Tony, the VP of Marketing Relations, and you've been listening to the RPM podcast.
Thanks for listening to Mic'd Up with RPM. Be sure to follow and subscribe to be notified of our future episodes.